Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason for the first time today.
Disappointing day as a Browns fan at the trade deadline. You get rid of DPJ, who was a great player. He just didn't have a chance with PJ Walker back there. Who's going to throw him the ball realistically? Instead of going and getting a quarterback, Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry should both be fired. You sit on your hands at the trade deadline and you bring in guys to the practice squad instead of making a move. You don't know when Deshaun's actually going to play. So instead of getting a quarterback, you get rid of a guy for a draft pick that's 2 years from now. What a bunch of bums. Let's ride out with PJ Trash Can Walker, who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. You don't make no moves to better your team. Same old Cleveland Browns, just different front office.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. The fan base is not in the mood. Now, I will say this. DPJ's final year of his contract, the Browns they drafted Tillman. They weren't going to extend him. So they got some compensation for a guy that can play. Look, DPJ can play in the league. Doesn't get a lot of separation. Does things that a lot of good receivers do. I mean, he's going to have a career in the NFL. But he wasn't going to. It was clear they were kind of moving on from. As far as the backup quarterback goes, reports are that the Commanders wanted a third or a fourth round pick. The Browns offered a sixth. I'm fine with. I wouldn't give a third or a fourth round pick. And the way I explain it, Martin Emerson was a third round pick. DeJuan Jones was a fourth round pick. Would you give either one of those for Jacoby Brissett? I would not.
No, that's a good point. Listen, I mean, we talked about it a little in the pre-show. Dorian Thompson-Robinson showed a lot of good things in the preseason. And I know PJ Walker has really struggled, but at some point, I mean, and Watson's coming back from an injury. It's not like this is a season-ending injury like Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins. So he's coming back. So it's not like you really need Jacoby Brissett. Like Watson could be back as early as this week. As for the DPJ trade, I mean, I think it was fine. I think you drafted DPJ in the 6th round. You got a 6th-rounder back. Like you said, he's on an expiring contract. You drafted Cedric Tillman, and DPJ is a bigger contested catch receiver. That's exactly what Cedric Tillman is. So now you get to see what your rookie receiver can finally do, who's not really been able to play too much. So that should excite some Brown fans. So, yeah, it was an average trade for the Browns. I don't think it was, I like not trading for Brissett, and I think the trade, what they got back for DPJ, is average. And I think he is in a better fit, I think, in Detroit, because that's kind of what they need in that receiving core is a bigger contested catch guy. Whereas the Browns now, they kind of have one right behind him, Cedric Tillman. So I think it was a fine get back for the Browns.
And again, the Browns fans aren't used to having these roster dilemmas where this guy's going to get a little bit more money, probably, and you can have a cheaper version or a cheaper skill set in Cedric Tillman, who's on a rookie contract. So that's kind of the way that works.